live stream that I set up for you guys. It's not letting me into it. Uh-oh. I think I made a mistake. Hopefully you guys see this one, because the one I put up that was originally set up for everyone is not working. I'm checking on that now. Now I feel bad because the one that I had up, you know what? Let me do this. Let me delete it. I'm deleting that one, and I'm hoping you guys see this one. We'll see. Someone's in here. I'm hoping you guys see this one. I made a big mistake. I'm trying to log in myself. I can't see the chat, so give me a minute. I'm trying to find it. Give me a sec. Here we go. Okay, now I can see the chat. I know somebody was in the other chat. I just don't know who it was. It says someone's in here, but it might just be me. Yeah, I may have screwed this up again. Let's try this. So it let everybody know on the other stream, but I think the one that I originally planned, you can't get into now. Hopefully you guys know to come to the channel. Here, let me put out a community post. I just put out a community post for everybody. Hopefully everyone could see it. I think I just screwed this one up today. Sorry. Oh, maybe you guys did see it. I see people coming in. I can't see you if you're coming into the chat yet because I'm trying to set everyone up. If you're here, hopefully you could say hello so I can see you. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that, guys. I just want to wait a minute just to make sure I have my notifications out there. Okay. All right, we got about 6 people in. That's cool. My apologies. I tried to make this a little more streamlined, but I screwed it up because this is my second time ever doing this, so very, very sorry. Okay. All right. So, happy to see you guys. What I want to do is, I had a couple subjects that I wanted to talk about. I sort of just wrote some stuff down this time around, but I'm a little taken back because I wasn't sure if I had this all correct, so I really don't know how to segue into stuff I wanted to talk about. But is there anything that you guys want to talk about first or want me to talk about before I get into any of the subjects I chose? Tighten my wastegate all the way. You tighten your wastegate all the way and the turbo's now blown. Was that what I was supposed to do? No. I'm not sure if you're joking or you're serious, but if you're serious, tightening the wastegate all the way down, what do you mean you tightened it all the way down? Are you saying that you like adjusted the preload rod like all the way? Is that what you mean? And your turbo might not your turbo might not necessar your turbo might not be blown. It could just have a symptom now because of the wastegate. So maybe that's what's wrong. What do you have any idea what your preload is right now at all? So basically, when you remove the actuator rod off of the actual arm for the wastegate, there is a basically the rod moves. If you tighten yours all the way down, that thing will pop off and then move over like an entire inch. Is that how far it would move for you? Sorry, guys. I was just waiting for Gen 2 to respond. I'm really curious about what happened to his turbo. It doesn't move. Which wastegate actuator do you have? Yeah, the wastegate could be seized. That's why I think you might not have a blown turbo. If the wastegate arm does well, which part of the wastegate are you talking about? Are you talking about the part that's on the exhaust side of the turbo, or are you talking about the actual arm? Oh, it's an OEM one. So what do you? Oh, I guess the version that you have might have a nut and a bolt. Some of them usually have like a fabricated, like a stamped piece that's one piece. So if you have an adjustable one and it's not moving at all, what I would do is I would pop the arm off and see, first of all, see if the pop the rod off of the wastegate and see if the arm moves on the exhaust side of the turbo. If the arm moves on the exhaust side of the turbo, see if the rod moves. If the rod doesn't move, you might have a seized wastegate actuator, which, I don't know if you're interested. I do have them on my website, Dave's Car Parts. I'm sorry, davescustomparts.com. If 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 the arm on the exhaust side of the turbo doesn't move, then you potentially could have a seized the actual wastegate valve itself. But I would definitely look into the wastegate side. Let's see. It could be that the OEM one broke. There, yeah, they are very known to fail. That's why I offer one on my site, and that's why every one of the ones that I do, I set my own preload for. So that way, like I know when I set up the preload, I know it's within a very close spec. Can you lube it? Possibly, but to be honest with you, if it's just an OEM one, you can get a brand new one for like $30. And if you can't find one, I can find you one. Just email me and I can get a new one sent to you like an OEM style. I would say plan on like 30 to $50 to try and get an OEM style. What's up, Galaxy Gaming? Glad you're here. What is it, Mr. Boxer Baggin? I like that name. It's a little wordy. Afternoon, everyone. I'm actively at work at the moment, so don't tell my boss. That's great. How funny would it be if your boss was in here talking to you, pretending to work also? I love stuff like that. What else? Galaxy Gaming. Oh yeah, you emailed me a while back. What do you? Why is your name Galaxy Gaming? Do you have some kind of streaming channel? Yeah, it's great. I'm the boss. My son would walk in here and probably say the same thing. That's great. So I guess what I'll do is, this is my second time trying this. I think I screwed up again. What I did was I set up the live stream ahead of time. I went into the live stream on my son's laptop. I set up a microphone. I went into the live stream getting ready to look at a preview. And I thought it was like just doing like I'm doing right now on my cell phone. I simply turn it on and I can use the camera to the laptop and just start talking. When I went in there, it was asking me to set up my live stream service. So apparently I need a third party software to use my computer, or there just might be something on the computer I have to set up. So next time I do a live stream, which will probably be about a week or two from now, I will have that squared away. This is the first time I ever dealt with it. So the very first live stream I ever did is I just turned on my cell phone, which is obviously what you guys are looking at right now. But I at least, I had 5 minutes before the live stream had to go live, so I at least wanted to talk to you guys somehow. So I threw my cell phone up because I knew this would work. So my apologies on the quality. I was trying to get you something a little bit better. Um, Lumber is heavy and Dave is streaming. That's great. Whenever I think of Lumber, I think of Wolverine because he was a lumberjack for a long time. What do you do? Considering you deal with lumber, my mind is telling me you live in Canada. Only because probably Wolverine. What do you do for a living? I used to be really into Call of Duty. So Galaxy Gaming. I really used to be into Call of Duty and I wanted to get into streaming, but never had a PC to edit and kind of fell through. I think we all kind of wanted to get into gaming. It's definitely something we aspire for. I mean, I before YouTube, I would pretty much game heavily, and I loved it. But I'm so busy now with the YouTube side of things and actually keeping the car's maintenance and doing and shooting and editing. I actually don't even have a lot of time for video games anymore unless my kids want to play like Mario Kart or something and I wipe the floors with them because I have to show them, Dad knows what he's doing. But yeah, good thing you found. Yeah, cars are fun. What's nice about cars is they travel with you, so it's a hobby that if you're stuck at work and you got 5 minutes during lunch, you can go outside and tinker with the car and kind of help relieve some stress, and then the car gives you new stresses. But it's stress we want versus stress we don't want. I definitely get that. Let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss any important questions too. Silent Three, hello. Summit, hello. Eric, how's it going? I appreciate you guys showing up. I really hope. I noticed we're a little light on some people. I think other people are looking for the other live stream, which I really hope they see this one. So I did put it out on the community section. Hopefully people see it. They might be sitting in a blank room just waiting for me to show up. Unfortunately. Actually live on a complete other side. Oh, live. I'm sorry. I actually live on a complete other side. I thought I was reading about live stream. I'm working at Home Depot. Oh, that's fun. Okay. Well, you know what? Your new nickname is Wolverine anyway. I'm only 18, 19. Yeah, that's good. Home Depot's a good store. I mean, I pretty much live at Home Depot. I pay a mortgage, so there's always something my house needs. So I'm always, always, always practically living there. I'm at Home Depot so much that I literally tell people that are just looking around for stuff where to go because I already know where everything is. You could work your way up in that company. I mean, once I don't know if you ever want to get into a corporate position, but they do have a lot of employment options for your future, which is nice. Uh, I sound like a dad now. You guys can tell I'm a dad. But yeah, that's cool. So I guess I mean my subject. What I want to do is I guess I'll just talk about some of the subjects that I wrote down, or maybe one or two things. And if you guys have a question, I'll just poke into the chat. Oh, XD Wolverine. See, I like that. XD Wolverine. Make sure you get it on your name tag now and tell people I call you that. Now you just have to grow out some mutton chops. Yeah, so I had a couple people ask me, and I feel bad because I know some of them that wanted the answer aren't here, but maybe they'll probably watch the live stream on a later date. Hopefully everyone's trickling in now and they're gonna catch it. But so I guess a couple of the subjects I wanted to touch on is I have people asking how I'm able to get to where I am in life. Like, how did I get to the point where I have like my career set the way it is, or how was I able to get a couple cars and be able to afford them? Um, and really that's going to start at a young age. So like Mr. Boxer, you're 18 or 19 years old. So if you want to get to a point in life where you want to be able to have like a car collection and a garage and a place to tinker with them, you're gonna have to start planning now for something like that. Like I started planning back when I was 17 on where I wanted to be in life, and I didn't really get the house I'm living in and my garage and my cars until almost 40. So I'm 39 years old. So I didn't really start getting that stuff until I was like 36. So it took a very, very long time. Um, yeah, well, I'm still trying to figure out life too. I'm like I said, I'm almost 40 and I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And I think that's why I just enjoy doing new things and learning new skills and learning new things and all the things I've learned throughout the years. I just apply everything together in every one of my life situations. But even when I was 17 years old, back then a house that I'll answer Galaxy Gaming. I'll answer your question in a minute. So even back then, when I was looking at the price of houses, let's say 20 years ago, the average house was $250,000, and it was expensive. And I knew from talking to my family that I had to put away like $50,000 because you needed a 20% down payment and then closing costs. So I started saving from the time I was like 17 all the way up to about 25, 26 years old. And I bought my first house in a really crappy neighborhood, but I was able to get something, and it was a piece of junk, and but you know what? I was okay getting something that needed work because over the years it taught me how to fix a lot of stuff with a house. So when I moved on and I am where I am today, whenever something breaks or needs to be repaired or upgraded, I kind of know how to do it, and it allows me to save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars because you get one contractor in a house to do, maybe a kitchen modification or like a kitchen upgrade. A kitchen could be $50,000 nowadays. When I got my first house, I mean, we're talking what 20, 40. My brain, my math isn't mathing right, but I mean we're talking like 17 years ago. Things were a lot cheaper. Now everything's very expensive. I can't even imagine when my kids grow up about buying a house. Like if they wanted to kind of do what daddy does and have a house and cars and stuff like that. I have no idea. A tiny little 1,000 square foot house might be $1 million, and that might be the going rate for just a basic house. I don't know. I just don't understand how things are getting so expensive. I mean, I do understand it. It's just because of COVID right now. But all right, let me ask. I just want to answer a question. So, what's your opinion on dealerships and trying to move up? And do you also think it's a dying industry? I don't think dealerships are a dying industry. I think customer service is a dying industry. I think dealerships treating mechanics like they're valuable is a dying industry. So if you're going to get into a dealership, make sure wherever you're working has, for starters, I don't know how young you are, some kind of a retirement plan. I know it when you're young, and you're not even in your 20s yet. A retirement plan seems like a waste of money. It's like, why am I going to give money away for something I can't touch for 40, 50 years? But really, you want that and you want to get into something that you can have a retirement plan put away, and then even if you change, let's say you leave that place and go to another place, you want to be able to bring it with you because you don't want to put 5 to 10 years into a dealership and then leave and then lose whatever you paid into that. So you want to take it with you because you might make a lot. In fact, as a mechanic, it's normal to make a lot of changes. You might go to 5 or 6 different dealerships, but you want to be able to take whatever your retirement is and take it with you. So just make sure you do something like that. And being a mechanic, your body is only good for so long. You might feel great young, but when you start getting up in the years, simple things like bending down and picking something up might be a difficult task. So you just want to make sure you take care of yourself as well. And you might move around and you might start as a mechanic and end up being a service manager or a service writer just because you can't physically do the work. But now you're dealing with the stress of dealing with people, dealing with the customer service side of it. So just make sure wherever you are, feel free to talk to employees. If you go to a new place and you see a lot of miserable looking guys working at the place, and maybe it's not a good place to work. Just remember that. Travis, what's going on? Travis, I think, is actually a mechanic at a dealership. I think it's a dealership. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. Um, how's it going, Travis? Glad you made it in. My apologies for the original link messing up. Where was I? So yeah, so I don't know if this one. Do you guys want me to keep talking about? Do you guys want me to talk about car stuff, or do you want me to talk about, basically how to how to get to kind of where I was in life? I don't really know if it's a boring subject or not, but I did have a couple people ask. I'll just keep talking until you guys tell me you're tired of hearing it. So basically, like I did a lot of planning and saving, and then over the years I figured out, I figured out how to fix that house up, and then house values kind of go up and down, but I never really rented. I always thought renting was a waste of money. So for example, look at it this way, right? Let's say you and a friend are renting a house and buying a house. You both, you put down even if you don't put it down a down payment, you're going to pay a mortgage. You stay there for 10 years. But your mortgage and the rent are the same. Now you both move in 10 years. The house, you're able to sell and get all that money back that you wasted for 10 years, but when you're renting and you want to move to a new place or buy a house, that 10 years worth of money you wasted is gone. What do you get back? Maybe a security deposit? So I kind of bypassed renting and I went straight to like houses. I was able to, live with my grandparents for a while, so I went right in the houses. And I always, it has to make financial sense. So I never really spend more than I have. I never really had credit cards. Every once in a while I'll take out a loan, stuff like that. I just try not to overspend. That way I always have something to where I know in the future if I'm trying to plan for something, I always have a way to, like, that money that I'm planning for is probably already put aside. So in the future, I know where that money is when I want to do something. You always have to think ahead, and sometimes years. Um, oh, car and diesel mechanic, yeah, that's cool. I'm 20 and I just started at a Toyota dealership already. My coworkers said that most of the older guys in the shop are ready to leave. Yeah, and that's a good point. I know a little bit about EV. EV makes me sad because I love gas engines and I just love the way like I couldn't imagine a 69 GTO or a 69 Charger with an electric motor in it and some batteries. There's just something about feeling the rumble of the engine and listening to the way it sounds and feeling that big heavy engine up front when you're going around a turn. I mean, that's fun for me. But like you're in your 20s, for you might only have had one car for a few years, and then when you get an EV, you feel like you're stepping into the future. So that might be fun for you, whereas I would rather hop into like a 2005 GTO and drive that gas guzzling car. Uh, and I'd rather be paying, $5 to $10 a gallon driving that thing than plugging in and dealing with EV. Learn EVs. Hey, what's going on, Mr. Fopiano? Hopefully I said that correctly. Yeah, learn EVs. Yeah, I mean, in fact, I've been toying with the idea of, I have an '05 GTO which I love, and my son loves it. And by the time he might be able to drive, I don't even know if we were gonna have gasoline at that point. See, for me, I keep hanging on the fact that awesome, you're right in my same age group. I guess that's why we get along. So for me, I'm leaning on the fact that, like, we're gonna have gasoline for a long time, but is it gonna be like $15 a gallon someday, or is there a synthetic gasoline that might come out? Like, I'm really hoping some big car manufacturer figures out some sort of synthetic gasoline or some aftermarket gasoline or something that you can run a gas engine on, or you can convert the engine and run it on a different type of fuel. That's what I'm hoping happens. What I don't want to do is I really don't want to convert cars that I love into EV. I thought about maybe doing one just to do it because, why not? I want to try the project. And really what I wanted to do was an electric motor with a 6-speed manual transmission, and and figure out a way to give it sort of an engine sound. I mean, that might be something you see on the channel in the future, but give it some sort of speaker system that, while it's moving, it sounds like a gas engine, just something really fun like that. But EV, unfortunately, EV swaps right now, I think the average EV swap is like $50,000. If you have something small like a Miata, an EV swap might be, maybe you can do it for like $15,000, because a Miata that you're driving just to the store and back, the range might need to be 30 miles, and it's a small car, and 200 horsepower feels fast in that little thing. So, but like a GTO that weighs 4,200 pounds, You're going to want at least 500 horsepower, and and on top of that, you have a packaging situation. You know, it has a big cabin, so there's a tiny trunk. So where do you put the batteries? You know, it's stuff like that. I need to figure out. Maybe in the future they'll come out with batteries that are much smaller. So maybe the batteries, instead of them being the size of the car, maybe batteries might be the size of a small battery, and you can get 1,000 miles of range. That might be the future. We might be talking 20 years from now, but maybe a battery can be so small that you can literally convert. I think what they're going to try and do is they're going to come out with a motor with a battery built in that you can drop in place of a gas engine. That's what I think might happen. And then hopefully you can get yourself, a 300-mile range with this package deal that you just drop in. But even right now, the electric motors that GM has, I think it's like $50,000 just for their motors, and it didn't even include batteries. So okay, so like I said, I'll just touch on stuff while I'm talking, and then if you guys have a question, I'll come back and talk. And please bear with me. I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing something else, because this is my second time ever doing this, and really, the way I treat this is almost like a podcast where my guest is what I'm reading with you guys, um, or like a phone conversation where the person I'm talking to on the phone is all of you guys. So if I'm doing something wrong or you want something better, please let me know, because based on your feedback is how I'm going to fix all this. So Galaxy, you need to aggressively try to get manufacturer training. Yeah, actually, he's a good person to talk to, because he's been doing this a long time. I'm a little bit different. See, I work for myself, so my career right now, I can only give you information based on the stuff I dealt with up to a certain point. But he still does it for a living, and actually, Travis is somebody too who still does it, full time, and that's what their full career is. Uh, yeah, independent EV. That's true. The only thing you can do independently would be just learn for yourself. But I know years ago I worked for PSE&G, which is the utility. It's the the gas and electric company for my area. And years ago they would send the mechanics out for EV. So maybe you can get into like a town utility, and then they'll send you out for training, which is a way to do it. Any kind of training that, if you're a mechanic, any training any place is worth or willing to give you, just take it, even if it's something you don't want to learn, because you never know, maybe 10, 15 years from now, where that training might be useful. Even though it might not be useful now, it might be useful in some other job. Never say no to training. uh, is the Equinox still getting supercharged? Yes. My problem right now is I'm waiting for a tune for cruise missile. I just finished getting the big turbo in, and I was driving around yesterday. You guys will eventually see that footage. And I sent them a data log, and I'm just waiting for them to give me a tune. So right now, that's a car I can't drive. My wife's Acadia broke down, so I think it needs a torque converter. I'm gonna end up pulling the transmission on that. So that broke down, and then there was an accident on it a couple months ago. So because of the accident, we had to get it back to the body shop for something else. And I said, since we're not using it, just take it. And then my SS, I just took it for some tires, and they screwed up the alignment. So now I'm waiting for them to fix that. So I'm at the point now where literally the only running vehicle I have that I could use is my Equinox, and it's just nice to have something that I can hop in and drive without having to tinker to get it running. I do have a Miata I've been kicking around the property, and the Miata the Miata was a car I bought for the channel. I got a really good deal. It was very cheap. I'm like, you know what? Let me put a V8 in it. I thought that would be a cool YouTube thing, and I bought it a couple years ago, and I've been kicking it around, but um, now it's literally dead, and it's just sitting there because I've been so busy with Cruise Missile. I really enjoy working on Cruise Missile, and you guys really enjoy the videos, so it's kind of hard for me to stop and spend a month on another car when you guys want to see, you want to see the end result of all the work I've been doing to the turbo. Galaxy, you just asked how much power will it make? Um, well, the dyno numbers that I got, I believe at the wheels were 195 at the for horsepower, and I think it was 265 for torque. That was the OEM turbo with my intercooler, my preload on the wastegate, cold air intake, tuning from Bad News Racing, and then obviously I jacked the boost up a little bit too on it. So the new setup is a turbo bay turbo with the race turbine wheel with the exhaust side with a larger turbine wheel. So here's what I'm noticing. The the uh, the torque curve basically went up, and then as the RPMs went up on the engine, the torque curve started dropping. And then the horsepower curve was really low, and then that had more of a linear path to it. Actually, I'm sorry, it'll be backwards because you guys are looking at my camera. What I'm Even if I don't max out, like let's say the car made 300 horsepower. Let's just throw a number out there. 300 horsepower. Is that a great number? Yes. But what if it's only at a high RPM, and basically what if it's only in like 4 to 5,000 RPM? That's great for 1,000 RPM. But I would be happy also if the car only made 250 horsepower, but you got it at 1,000 RPMs, and then it made 250 horsepower all the way to the 5,000 RPM. Believe it or not, even though it's 50 less horsepower on paper, it'll actually be a faster car. But either way, as long as I go past 200, I'm happy. I would love to see 300 horsepower would make me incredibly happy. I might not see a horsepower gain. We might see maybe another 100 foot-pounds of torque. I have no idea, and I can't wait to get the car to the dyno. I'm just waiting for the file to come back. What tuner do I have? I'm using Bad News Racing. I just emailed them yesterday because I thought that I had the big wheel tune in the car, but when I was driving around, there was a few bugs in the RPM range, so I noticed it was sort of hiccuping about I want to say 3 to 4,000 RPM. So I data logged and I sent the file out. So I'm just waiting for them to send the file back and let me know. Well, A, they might tell me something's wrong, or B, they might say, hey, we adjusted this. Go ahead and put the file in. Um, so future plans with that car is I don't know what kind of power we're gonna have. So let's say we're gonna see 275 to 300 horsepower, and let's say we're gonna see, I don't know, 310 to 335 foot-pounds of torque. Let's just throw those numbers out there. The next step for that car, I'm doing two things. Now, before you see the footage, I may have one thing done and it be in the videos, or I may have additional videos. I'm doing an air-fuel ratio gauge. The reason I'm doing an air-fuel ratio gauge is even though cars get tuned and the computer shows air-fuel ratios, I like to have the gauge in place. So when you're going full throttle, let's say you accidentally run the engine lean. Without a gauge, you could potentially be causing damage to your pistons, but you'll never know because the car's running. But with a gauge, you'll see that it's actually lean, and then you'll catch a problem ahead of time. For example, let's say you have a sticking wastegate actuator. We were just talking. Who posted that? Let's see. So second gen. So you were asking me about your wastegate actuator. Let's say you were driving and you noticed that your air fuel ratio gauge was basically running incredibly lean or incredibly rich. Well, it could be because there's something wrong, and when you diagnose the car, you catch that your wastegate actuator is the problem. But let's say you're a person who just bought the car and you don't have an air fuel ratio gauge and you've been driving this thing for years and it's actually had a problem the whole time. You might never know. You might have never known. You throw a gauge on there, and now guess what? You caught the problem. The reason why I want the air fuel ratio gauge is I'm designing a methanol injection kit for the car as well. So the methanol injection kit, what you'll be able to do is there's going to be a light on the dash. When you're low on methanol, the light will come on and let you know to add methanol, like in the tank, like when you're low. When you're part throttle and the methanol is engaging lightly, you'll have a green light, and then when the methanol goes full blast, you'll have a red light. And when that methanol is running, you'll have much colder intake temperatures, giving you more power, and then the extra octane from the meth injection will give you more power as well. So I don't know what kind of power we'll see on a 1.4 liter, but I'm hoping an additional 50 to 60 horsepower just from that alone. Someone just asked a question. My car runs at 14.7 air fuel ratio, then 10.5 under full throttle. So 10.5 full throttle is actually... See, this is a direct injection engine. So a direct injection engine, I think, needs to see a leaner number. That's actually fairly rich. I think. I'm pretty sure that's a rich number. Now, where are you getting that from? Are you looking in like a scanner, or do you have some kind of air fuel ratio gauge on the car? 14.7 at idle is sort of normal. Like, and if you're cruising, you're actually gonna see the air fuel ratio bounce between like 14 to 15. So it's gonna, or it might be like 14, 15 and a half, and it's gonna constantly bounce around. But when you're wide open throttle, you want to see a steady air fuel ratio. And again, this is a direct injection engine, so I know they like them a little bit leaner. Uh, but I'm just curious. Just let me know how you're seeing that air fuel ratio. All right, so as far as when do I think I'll have to start upgrading cams and valves? Basically cams, valves. I think if I had to choose one of them, valves I would change anyway. For two reasons. One, I don't think the valve itself will be the problem. I think the valve springs might be the issue. I think if I get to a point where I want to go even higher with boost. So right now, when you do a big turbo on a cruise, you're not entirely increasing your max boost. What you're actually doing is generating more boost at a lower RPM. That's where you pick up your extra horsepower. So if your car is currently running, let's say 28 pounds of boost peak, on average like 22 pounds of boost, and then it peaks maybe 25 to 28 pounds. When you put a bigger turbo, you'll see that peak all the time, or you'll see that peak sooner. So that's what happens with a bigger turbo. So what you start doing is you're filling in the RPM in a lower range. It's sort of known as like a torque fill situation. So if I get to a point where I want to jack up the boost, like let's say I want to go 30, 35 psi, I want to get to the point where I'm going to send the engine to the moon just because I want numbers. I would definitely want to do valve springs, because what ends up happening is you can get valve float. So the boost, what happens is the boost when the valve opens and closes, there's so much boost that the valve can't quite close. So you want stronger springs to get that valve to slam shut, and that'll actually help you build more power too. Now cams, the problem with the engine is the car's only been around for about 3.5 years. It's not like an Equinox where it's been around for 10 years and there's millions of those engines on the road. It's going to take someone who's going to make a custom ground cam. And honestly, finding a machine shop that can do custom grinds is hard. And the shops that do them, in my opinion, I'm not naming any shops, I don't think that they have the manpower to get the work out. Like you might buy something now that's a cam, and you're like, great, I want the cam. But you might not get it for 6 months to a year, and then by then it's like, what was the point? Because maybe you've done so much stuff to your engine that the cams won't even work because of the other stuff you've done. And do you want to keep your car on hiatus for a year? So I'm not quite ready to go that route. Maybe in the future I'll figure out something. Maybe I can figure out a cam and valve package for you guys in the future. If the channel keeps growing, and ultimately the dream is going to be that I grow the channel and I get to the point where there's always going to be cruise content, but I'm going to be doing cruise content and maybe Miata stuff. But you're going to always see all of it. So instead of me doing one video every 2 weeks that's a quality video, you'll get cruise videos every 2 weeks anyway, and then I might throw in one or two Miata videos because I'm designing stuff for the Miata, because I get to a point where maybe I have more people working with me and I can do that kind of thing. Or maybe I could just do the cruise stuff and we could have a second channel for all the other stuff I like to do. I'll figure this stuff out in the future, but maybe I'll be able to come up with that for you guys. Oh, that's an OBD2 scanner. Considering it's an OBD2 scanner, it's probably accurate. I don't want to give you guys, don't use this live stream as a rule of thumb for air fuel ratios. Wait until I get to the point where I'm doing the air fuel ratio videos and I'm talking about the air fuel ratio gauge and I've done more research. Based on what you're saying, it seems like your engine's running a little richer than it needs to be, but I would rather it be a tiny bit richer than too lean. Too lean, you can cause some major damage. A little richer, it's sort of okay. A 10.5, you would normally want to see in a non-direct injected engine, but because the engine's direct injected, supposedly they're supposed to be a little leaner. And maybe that's what's wrong with my car. Maybe that's why I'm having a hiccup on my tune. Maybe that's why it's hiccuping. It's too rich. I don't know, but I'm going to be hooking that gauge up so I can confirm everything that's going on. Let's see. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. Okay, so Mr. Fopiano. I think I have that right. I wrote your name down just to make sure. Okay. Yes. Fopiano. I just want to make sure I have it right. I told you I would make sure. So you were one of the people that asked me about basically how I'm able to structure my life to have a car collection. So I did talk about some of that stuff in the beginning of the live chat. So if you go back and watch it later and you watch the first like 15 minutes, I did talk about like when I was younger and how I got to a certain point. But let's I guess maybe what I'll do is let me talk about how I was able to get like a few cars. So I did a couple job changes over the years. But what didn't change is the way I plan for the future. So I always knew in the back of my mind, I always knew there was going to be a car collection. But here's how I did my cars. So let's use my 2005 GTO. My 2005 GTO, when I first bought that car, was $4,500. I bought it with an engine that had bad bearings, and I bought it with a first and second gear that would grind really bad. I spent about $1,500, and I was able to redo the engine and transmission myself, and boom, now I have a running driving GTO for under $6,000. I could probably turn around and sell the car for a profit. Now I bought it years ago, so when I bought it for $4,500. It sat in my driveway for a year and a half. It just sat there waiting for me. Had I gotten impulse to buy that car at the time, it would have probably cost me $15,000. But I decided to buy one that needed work. It has, the Carfax on it. I believe it had one accident, which wasn't major. But I have no problem getting a car that has an issue. So the car has a bad Carfax. It had a blown engine, bad transmission. It had a great interior and a great body. It had a little bit of damage on the bumper, which I haven't fixed yet. But other than that, it's a beautiful car. It has an oxblood red interior, red gauges. I love the car. And you know what? I'm into it for $6,000, and then I did some Brembo brakes and some nice wheels, and I'm still into it for not a lot of money. So if you're gonna go down the path of wanting a collection of cars, you have to be very open-minded. I would rather buy a car in another state that's a piece of junk, park it, and let it wait for me to when I can get to it. And then what I'll do is I'll take everything apart, and then I'll go through the whole car, and I'll take a lot of times I'll take modifications out that I don't like, and I'll sell those modifications, which allows me to get money back on the car. So I know when I first got the car, it had a really expensive suspension in it, and I hated the way it rode. It felt like a heavy duty truck. And so what I did was I sold a bunch of that stuff, got some money back. So I was able to get the car pretty, basically I have the car pretty cheap. My Miata, I got the Miata for like $3,500. I want to say about 2.5, 3 years ago. So over the years, I mean, again, I'm almost 40 at this point. So over the years, I would basically get a car cheap, fix it up, and then hang on to it. So that's what I would do as far as trying to be able to afford these things. For example, like the Corvette, the green Corvette. Now that car had a lot of body damage when I first got it, and it was already green, but I was able to do a lot of the body work myself, and I was able to get that car much cheaper also. So that's really what I would do is over the years, instead of getting rid of a car, I would just sort of get them cheap and then hang on to them, and then over the years you sort of collect one as you go along. And and here we are. I'm almost 40. I have a few of them, and then not for nothing, when COVID happened, things got pretty expensive. So I saw that the used price market is going up on cars, so I did have to sell. Like basically running a YouTube channel, there's not a lot of money that comes in from YouTube itself. So I actually sold a couple of them too. So I did have some other cars, so I'm down to only a few now. I did have to sell a couple, but that's the stuff you have to do because I had to make a choice, like which cars do I love and which cars can I get rid of. So I did sell a few to be able to afford to keep the other cars. So those are things you have to do as well. And then I also, like I said, planning ahead, like in the future there are other cars I would like to have, but right now with the chip shortage and how expensive things are getting, I have no idea what any of those cars might be. I have dream cars, but things are so expensive. Like, before COVID, 2019, you can get yourself an R8 for like $40,000. You can get a manual R8 with like a V8 engine in it for $40,000. Then COVID happens. Now that same R8 is now $115,000. The brand new Corvette, $65,000. People are like, oh my God, you can get a brand new rear engine Corvette. COVID happened. Now all of a sudden, a $65,000 Corvette is now $125,000. I I don't think I'm planning on getting any more cars ever again. I think what I have is just fine. All right, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I saw you. I saw you pop out and pop back in again. 2017 Cruise. What's up, J Rod? Somebody just asked a question. Oh, I just did the air intake flip thing. Sounds awesome. Yeah, that was a fun little. I was tinkering with the car one day, and I was looking at how to modify the car on a budget, and I thought that was a fun little video to make. And if you're the kind of person who you don't really care about really taking the car to the next level, and you just want a little extra ambiance while you're enjoying the car, I thought that was the best way to do it. And then you can just change that. You can just go get the air filter, like a universal cone filter, and then put it right on the end of it. So then, I guess I'll talk about one other car. You guys see in the back of all my videos that I have a Cobra. Now that Cobra, believe it or not, that's only a $15,000 car. But if you were to go buy a Cobra, that car anywhere you look would be like $40,000, upwards of, you know, I want to say 100,000, and some crazy ones get up to like $1,000,000, $500,000. So my Cobra, here's how open minded I am. I found that car, and then what I did was I knew it basically was an unfinished product from a company that doesn't exist anymore. The average person doesn't want to buy something like that because A, they don't know how to weld. They don't know really what's in the car, what will fit. And then everybody they basically hit this wall of fear. I knew that whether I spent $100,000 on a Cobra or $10,000 on a Cobra, I wanted a Cobra. And I knew owning a Cobra would be the same experience. It'd be a car that just sits most of the time, and when I actually use it, it's like riding a motorcycle. I take it out on like the 1 to 5 nice days here and there, and I park it most of the time, and I'm always looking at it. So I'm definitely not the guy that's going to go out and spend $100,000 on a Cobra, and I'm definitely not going to spend $40,000 on a Cobra. But I'm okay spending 10 grand. And then what I did was I stripped that thing all the way down to the frame, cleaned the frame up. I made a lot of Mustang, like 90s Mustang parts work on the car, and they work awesome. Um, I took a 4.6 V8 from a 2003 Mustang GT. I did a bunch of work to the engine. I built my own motor mounts. I built my own transmission mount, my own fuel system. I had no problem fabricating everything because me fabricating right now I was able to basically save. I was able to save, like if I wanted to build a kit, the average kit company to build one of those is like $20,000, and and basically you're putting everything together, and then you have to paint it. You're spending on average $35,000 to $40,000. That's why you see a lot of the cheapest Cobras out there for sale are like 40 grand. So for me, I'd rather buy the no name Cobra. I don't care about the quality of the name. I really don't care if I'm telling somebody, hey, oh, thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. Oh, Cobra, now you're talking. I didn't see you come in, but yeah, I was talking about how I was able to build that car and how I'm able to afford a car collection. So with the Cobra, I'm okay with I'm okay with having to build a lot of the stuff myself because in the end, whether it's a $100,000 race car version of a Cobra or a $10,000 no name Cobra, it's still a 2-seat Cobra that I'm gonna drive maybe for 10 minutes here and there just to take it out and blow the dust off of it. Why would I spend so much money on an expensive one? Not that I could afford it anyway, but why not go after the cheap one? Get past that fear of having to make stuff on your own. So like I said, that car is a $15,000 Cobra. as it sits right now, it does need a paint job. I eventually want to do videos because I didn't document me building that car. It actually all happened. I just finished getting it on the road right before I started the YouTube channel, and honestly, that was one of the reasons I pushed myself to do it. I was in the middle of building that car, wishing I documented everything, so at least I took a lot of pictures. And then I was like, well, why not actually just document everything else that I'm doing? So eventually, I want to lift the body off. I want to set up a panhard bar system for the solid axle in the rear because I want to get better handling out of it. I want to do like a coilover suspension. I mean, there's a lot that I want to do, but again, that's a car. It's parked, and I'm not the kind of person that's just going to get rid of a car because I'm not using it. It's sitting there because let's say I sold it. Let's say I sold it. Maybe I sold it for 30,000 bucks. Well, I get rid of it. Now in the future, when I have the itch to drive another Cobra, I want to buy one. Well, the way the market is right now, I might sell that Cobra, make $15,000, then in the future buy another Cobra, but I might be stuck paying $60,000. I don't know if I can get lucky finding another one that needs work like that again. I got lucky once. I don't know if I'll get lucky twice. Maybe $15,000 I might have to pay, and then I'm into it for $20,000. I'd rather just park it and then wait till when I'm ready to work on it because right now I'm just in cruise mode. Let's see, some of you guys. Oh, Chris, I appreciate you donating. Thank you very much. I didn't realize you could do that. I really do appreciate that. I don't know. I'm bad. I'm bad with. I don't know what the word should be. I guess I'm bad with me showing gratitude. But that's amazing. I didn't expect anything like this today. How important is a front splitter? Okay, so on my Corvette, I have a front splitter, which, funny enough, is actually made out of plywood. I made a plywood front splitter, and then what I did is I took fiberglass resin and I coated all of the wood in fiberglass resin. So that is as strong as I would say a carbon fiber or a fiberglass splitter, and it's very lightweight because it's very thin plywood. And then I have a wing on the back of the car. So those. So here's what I noticed with air modifications on something like a Chevy Cruze where all the weight's in the front of the car and it's like everyday driving. I think, for looks wise, I would want to do it for looks, especially if you're slammed to the ground and you want sort of that Need for Speed Underground. Like, I grew up playing Need for Speed Underground, so I love a slammed car with a diffuser, sometimes a wing, sometimes not. A rear wing on like a Chevy Cruze is something that someone would make fun of you for being a racer. But honestly, if you're racing the car, a front splitter and a rear spoiler will help that car get planted, even though it's front wheel drive. But if it's just daily driving, they're really not needed. But they do work, and I will tell you, when I put on the back of my Corvette, I put I want to say it's a 6 foot wide carbon fiber wing. That 6 foot wide carbon fiber wing did two things. When I was going down the road, I noticed that it would help get rid of a lot of that wander that would happen, especially when the wind blew. Like when it's really windy, your vehicles kind of move a little bit. That rear spoiler and the front diffuser really keep that car straight as an arrow. And the other thing I noticed too is when I was getting up higher in speed, that there was this little. I guess it goes hand in hand, like a little bit of a shimmy that I would get where just from the road, like the road undulations, like where, your roads are never perfectly flat. With the spoiler on the back, it would sort of help with that a little bit too. So I did notice a difference. And also in alignment. If you do like a nice negative camber alignment, it helps tighten up the suspension. So if you do that with some aero, it does help a lot. Somebody asked, how's the Holden's running? I drove. How's it going, Ken? So I drove my GTO today for the first time, I think, in a year. I had to use it because I have a couple cars that are broken down. Two cars are broken down, another car's just in pieces because I'm filming, and then another car's blocked in. I just have a couple things going on with the car, so I couldn't drive all of them. So I took the GTO out today, and unfortunately, I noticed an oil leak, and so I have to get under the hood and see what's going on. The GTO's got an oil leak. It has flat spots, even with flat stoppers. That car had flat spots before I put flat stoppers in, but even with flat stoppers, the car shakes while driving. So I'm gonna have to deal with the tires on that car as well and see if the flat spots are just in the tires or something's wrong. The SS though, the SS is at the shop. I have a race alignment going on it, and I just put on some new tires and wheels. I didn't want to bite the bullet to do that, but If you guys watched any of my other videos, you know that the SS was sitting for quite some time, and it was sitting because I had a tire problem on that car, and and they would make noise, and I just wanted to get rid of them, so I put brand new tires, brand new rims. It was actually cheaper to get new wheels than it was to just get factory wheels, because the wheels on the car were pitted also, so the pitted wheels were driving me crazy. So I just went and got new rims. So that's the only other Holden I have. I guess the crew. I mean, my Generation One Cruise was considered a Holden, but the Generation Two, I think it's actually considered an Opel more than a Holden, even though it's in bed with Holden a little bit. Sorry, you guys are commenting. Let me see what you said. I want to see if I missed anything. We must have the same boss paying attention to this. My boss is starting to send me a bunch of questions. That's great. Same here with bosses and coworkers. You guys are awesome. At high speed, my front gets very light. Travis, I would look into your alignment. You can do a camber adjustment on that car with some camber bolts. I know you have some aftermarket wheels. We were talking a little bit about coil over suspension too on your car, but there, you could, what I would check. Go open your driver door and jump up and down on the sill and see if the car's has a lot of extra bouncing to it. Maybe you might have a dead strut or something. That could be why you're getting light in the front. Because think about it, all the weight in that car is mostly in the front, and actually the cab sort of goes over the top of the engine. They try to push the weight. Actually, the weight is more front heavy than anything. That could be what's wrong, possibly. I would just check that first. Can I drop my cruise off to you and do everything that's on your cruise? I'll pay you cash in full. Actually, I've had people J-Rod, I've had people ask me that question, and I'm actually thinking of offering that to people. So basically, I've had people ask me, "Will you do the work?" And yeah, I think I might get to that point in the future. So if you just keep in touch with me, send me an email, and maybe we could work on it for you. Hey man, I noticed. What's up, Lewis? I think I said that right, Lewis. Hey man, I noticed that you have an exhaust on your cruise. I've been having trouble finding the perfect one, and I noticed you have quad tips. Where did you get it? I basically made those. I had to cut the rear diffuser and then fish them through there. I'm not even sure if that's going to give me problems in the future. I just really hate. I see the RS. What's nice about the RS is, yes, it's a step above the regular car, but it came with body modifications. So really, that's all the RS package is looks. So because of that, I really hated the way the rear looked. It looked empty. It looked like they put the diffuser in and sort of ran out of a budget. So that's why I added the spoiler and the tips, because I really wanted it to look more like a sports car. So that's why those are on there. It really is nothing you can buy. It's a situation where you'd have to literally just make it on your own. That's what I did. I filmed how I did it. Unfortunately, the footage came out awful. I don't. I tried to fix the footage. I'm trying to do the best I can to make it look better, but unfortunately, it just didn't. It didn't pan out. That's why you guys didn't see it on the channel yet. But maybe in the future you will. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody's questions. Let me see. Chris, I appreciate that my channel inspires. I actually talked to you. I talked to you and actually, a bunch of you guys are here that I talk to all the time. And between me helping with tech support and the nice things you guys say, I think you're all amazing. And I'm glad, when I started the channel, I sort of didn't really know where it was going. And I tried with my Jetta footage to sort of inspire people. And even though I wasn't doing a good job back then, because that was when I started, I had no idea what my voice was going to be when I was starting YouTube. And my computer was awful, so my editing was terrible. So I wasn't really sure I was at the level where I can inspire someone. But I took everything I learned from the Jetta and I'm putting it into the Cruise now. And then every car I work on is going to be better and better and better. So I'm at a point now where I think I give just enough information to help somebody say, you know what? Thanks for making this video, because it taught me that this isn't hard as I thought, and I can do this myself. Because honestly, you see the way I work. Everything I do on my own, and a lot of times I don't have someone helping me. So hopefully those videos show that a lot of jobs aren't as big as they seem. Like, I'm going to be doing my wife's Acadia. I took that truck to 3 different places. All 3 places. I just want simple fluid change in the transmission. I can't get a place to change the transmission fluid for the life of me. And one place tried to tell me that I needed a $6,000 transmission. So you're going to see in the future, I'm going to be pulling that transmission out of that truck. I'm going to be changing. I'm pretty sure it needs a torque converter, and I'm going to be changing the fluid in it, and I want to see if that fixes the problem on the truck. And if it does, there's a video right there showing people how to deal with their Acadia, because I feel bad someone's got to spend $6,000 on something that can be fixed for 100, well, I'd say $300 in your own shop. Sorry, some of you guys said some stuff. I just want to read it real quick. Hey man, I understand, and all the other exhausts are really quiet. I have to get a single exit. I will tell you that if you wanted to choose an exhaust system, Corsa Exhaust used to make some universal pipes, or you might be able to get your hands on a muffler from another car. I know in the past when I was building my, I had a 97 Cobra about 12 years ago, and I couldn't find an exhaust for the car. So what I did was I bought an exhaust off of an SN 90, no, SN, I forget what the newer one is, like the one that looks like the retro Mustang. So what I did was I bought the exhaust off like a 2014 Mustang. I cut the pipes off of that muffler, or those mufflers, and then I made them fit on the 90s Mustang. And they were Corsa mufflers, and they sounded amazing. I love the way they sounded, especially at a high RPM. So that might be something you have to do. Let's see, quiet. Chris, VW Vortex Forum still refers to your channel here for the. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even know that. I will say, VW Vortex. When I was first posting, sorry, my beard is itching my nose. When I was first posting videos, I didn't have the best information when I was doing it, and a bunch of those guys dragged me through the mud, and I was upset about it. But I'm glad they did that, because dragging me through the mud made me realize that when I put a video out there, I can't just make content for the sake of making it. And when I give a fact, even though the fact that I read made sense and it's something helpful, that might not be all the information that's needed. So since then, I learned my lesson, and I'm glad I got beat up. And actually, Mr. Fopiano, I remember talking to you. You were one of my first subscribers, actually. I remember talking to you way back when I had, only a couple of subscribers. And you stuck by me a long time. Chris, I believe you're one of the originals. Ken, you're an original. Not to shout out everybody, but and I appreciate you sticking by and checking out my cruise content. And I appreciate you guys, sticking around for all the other stuff I like to work on too. Ken, what are you saying? With all the increases in used car prices, are the Kelley Blue Book values still accurate? It depends. Here's why. My Equinox, I was thinking of getting rid of that. The adult in me told me not to, because I needed something reliable. So I sold my Silverado. I really wish I didn't sell my Silverado, but that truck had frame issues. And it was either keep the Silverado, which I loved, and I had to deal with a $10,000 frame replacement, or it was sell the Silverado, put some money away for my kids, and then keep the Equinox. But at one point, I did go on Carvana, and Carvana offered me like $9,000 for this truck, right? I was like, wow. Like that, I was ready to get rid of it because of how much money they were willing to give me. But then my wife's Acadia, which is a high-end truck, it's a 2013. I was like, well, what could we get for the Acadia? The Acadia, they were only going to give me $6,000. If you wanted to buy an Acadia right now, those trucks are $15,000, and if you get something that's low mileage, they can go upwards of like $30,000, which is crazy. I don't really know where the used market's going to go, but what I could tell you is, if you're looking to sell something and they're giving you top dollar, I would jump on it and get rid of it. But just make sure that if there's something that you want to replace it with later, that you're not going to overpay, because that's what my problem is. Like, I got rid of my Silverado. I got a decent amount of money for my Silverado. It wasn't as much as I would have liked, but it was decent money. If I want to buy another Silverado, it's going to cost me double what I sold my Silverado for. So I'm not going to be getting a Silverado for a couple of years now. As much as I love Silverados, I just can't afford to get another one. I can't afford it. I had a Mustang. I had a Shelby Mustang. You guys saw a Shelby Mustang on the channel. I had to get rid of that because I need to pay the mortgage. So my Shelby Mustang, I got rid of it, for a decent amount of money. But if I want to replace that car, I paid $11,000 for it. I was able to sell it for $15,000. If I want that car now, a year later, that same car is now $25,000. And in the future, if I want to get another one of those, it could be, I don't know, it could be, who knows, $35,000 for one. I don't know. That's just what's happening right now, and it's making me sick because it sucks the fun out of it for me, but at the same time, the flippers are making a killing, and the flippers like cars, but they only like them to make money. The people who have a passion, we're the ones that are unfortunately eating it, and it's the other people that need a car because it was hard to get new cars from 2020 to like 2021. So you can't get. Oh, and now here's what I think is happening too. Ford, Dodge, and GM are now getting rid of electric or gas cars and only going electric, which means you might not be able to get a gas powered Mustang anymore. So that same Mustang I sold for $15,000 might be a $50,000 car in a few short years. That's what might happen as well. So who knows what's going to happen coming up. Sorry, I just want to read some of your guys' comments. So let's see, Catless. All right, so Mr. Boxer, the boost gauge. I have a question about the boost gauge. I'm wanting to get one from a Malibu at some point. How exactly did you manage to reach that vacuum line? The boost gauge comes with line, so whichever boost gauge you get will come with line. I know I have a couple links, especially on the video where I did the boost gauge, where you can actually get that gauge. I've realized since then, keep the box and keep all your receipts because if the gauge goes bad, some people have told me sometimes some stuff just goes bad. It's just how it is. So just keep the box just in case you have any issues. You can swap it out. They'll swap it out for you as long as you have the receipt in the box. Usually gauges come with lines. Let's see. Oh, how exactly did you manage to reach the vacuum line underneath the throttle body? So in the video, I show that there's a purge valve line, and I end up modifying that and putting in a T. I actually refilmed that video. That video was one of my first videos from like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I refilmed that, and I'm going to be putting out an updated video with my more modern, like the way I speak now and my editing. Back when I filmed that video, I was nervous to be on camera, but not really anymore. So I'm going to have an updated version for you guys because I do help a lot of people actually put those things in through through my social medias and email, which is why I have the membership. You guys that are on the membership. I mean, I spend all the time talking to you guys, but when there's any tech support and stuff like that, you guys have your own specific email that's not public, and I help you guys directly too. So if you have any questions and you're part of the membership, feel free to ask. Sorry if I keep scratching my nose, but my beard is bugging me. Let's see. With all the oh yeah, man, I like that. Do you know of any catless downpipes for a Gen 2 cruise with a secondary cat delete? Unfortunately, I won't really talk about cat deleting or any exhaust modifications. I know I did talk about my exhaust tips, but that's not something that the EPA will come knocking on my door for. But I'm not, unfortunately, publicly, I just won't talk about exhaust because the EPA, I mean, there's a guy that owned a Mustang shop. The EPA raided their shop for whatever reason. And then, a lot of shops can't sell exhaust stuff. And then RPI, I think it was RPI or PFI Speed. They got hit with like a $15,000. Now, there are shops that sell, exhaust and emissions defeating things. So I just don't like talking about that stuff publicly. So my apologies. I know there's people out there that you could talk to. If you want to get in touch with them outside of here, it's fine. Again, my apologies. I just don't want to talk about that stuff. Lewis, I'm late on your videos. I've been watching them a lot, but I got really busy and distanced myself from social media. Your videos are amazing. How much is your cruise pushing to the wheels? So the video that I just filmed on the dyno so basically up to the dyno video, that is I'm only going to say this one more time only because I did talk about this and I don't want to keep talking about the same stuff over. But when I brought the car to the dyno, the combination on there is the factory turbo, and it's not blown or anything like that. It's my intercooler that I designed. It was actually my smaller intercooler. It was my wastegate with a custom preload that I sell on my site, and then a cold air intake, and then I had a couple custom tunes done by Bad News Racing, and then and then we were matching like my wastegate adjustments. So between all of that, it gave the car 195 wheel horsepower and about 265 foot-pounds of torque. And I was really surprised about the torque numbers. I didn't expect that little four-cylinder to have that much torque. To put that into perspective, that's more horsepower to the wheels than most Mustangs you see on the road. And I pick Mustangs because a Mustang is a very popular car. I know my even that Shelby I got rid of, I think that car to the wheels You know, it had a 4.6 liter with a 3 valve. I think that car puts less than that to the wheels actually. Again, just to put it in perspective. So the new horsepower numbers I'm going after, I think, are going to be, I'm shooting anything over 250 makes me happy. If we can get close to 300 horsepower, and then with the methanol injection system I'm putting in, I'm hoping to be over 300 horsepower eventually. So that's the plan with the car. Let's see. Travis, come get the Acadia out of my yard. I am interested in the Acadia. Um, I was curious. Well, we had a conversation about it. I don't want to talk publicly about it, but I really wanted to bring that Acadia back to life, actually. And actually, if that's something you want to do, I might be interested in actually fixing that truck just to fix it, because I really, in the future, one of the things I want to do is take vehicles that are like that have just been sitting, that no one would touch because something was wrong, and get it to the point where it goes from being like one step away from the junkyard to bringing it back to life and being a reliable daily driver. That's what I enjoy, because a lot of the cars I buy to have a cheap car collection are those cars. It's a Mustang that's been sitting in some dude's backyard, or an engine that's been sitting in mud. Like, I have a 4.6 liter engine that was literally sitting in mud. I did film a bunch of videos on rebuilding it. I just never put it on the channel because I thought they were boring. So I'm eventually going to use that footage on something more fun. But I love taking something that's garbage and making it something that's valuable. Let's see. Fopiano. EPA has been really, yes. Yes, they have. Yeah, the EPA, car fans are a small portion of the carbon footprint that people put on this planet. And I don't think it's fair that they're going after us. What I hope happens is, yes, removing a catalytic converter from a car will give it more horsepower, and they don't want you to do that. I'm okay with that. I don't take cats off anyway. I'm fine. I don't care. If I were racing and I have to have a cat on, fine. Let me put something on there that does help me produce more power, but also doesn't defeat emissions. We just got to find a middle ground. What I don't want to happen is, I don't want the EPA to start saying things like, oh, well, your turbo went bad on your car, so you put an aftermarket turbo on. Well, now you just defeated the emissions, and now they're going to use every chance they can to call everything's emissions defeating. Oh, you put a cold air intake on your car. Guess what? It's $1,000 fine because you put a cold air intake on your car. I don't want that. That's not fair, and I don't want to feel like I have to live with a lawyer in my back pocket just to enjoy my car. I don't think that's fair. I can understand if I cut my exhaust off at the catalytic converters and I'm running open header. Yeah, I could see why the EPA might get mad. I don't do that kind of stuff anyway. Maybe for fun on a video to test something I might, but then I'll put it back together again anyway if it's just for testing. Let's see. That's the way I say it's that. Yeah. If anyone has questions about the downpipe, message me and we can talk more about it. Oh yeah, Summit is willing to at least say hi to anybody who wants to talk about it. I'll just leave it at that if you guys want to talk downpipes. I'm just gonna say publicly that I don't really do. I'll probably never do an exhaust modification on a modern car, like something like I'd say 2010 and up. Anything older that's grandfathered, like I have like my 2005 Corvette. Eventually, that's going to be a collector. Like, I have collector insurance on everything, so that's going to be a registered collector vehicle because of its age. It might be emissions exempt at some point, so maybe then you can do exhaust modifications. Like my Cobra, it's a 67 or 69. I could go open header on that and it's legal. Stuff like that you might see on the channel, but you'll never see me, taking a car that has emission stuff on it and just modifying the exhaust system, at least for now. Maybe in the future, if I'm building a legal race car, that's what you might see on the channel. Hey, what's up, Raven? How are you? I'm glad to see you here. Turbo build's going good. I did talk about the turbo a couple times. I know you're coming in now. Turbo's going good. I just drove the car the other day. I'm just waiting for a tune to come back, a tune file. Hey, what's up, kiddo? Hey guys, my son wants to say hi. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Say hi. Hi. You have anything fun to say? Nothing bad.
Hi.
Hi. What'd you come in for?
Hi.
Okay. You want to say hi to everyone? That's everybody. They're saying hi up there. See what they're saying? You want to read the next question? You want to read that question right there? What does it say?
Which one?
Right there, the last one. What's it say?
The R?
Yeah. Oh, that's Chris. Chris is really cool. In fact, everybody here I talk to a lot. They're all really cool people. You can't see their faces, but a lot of them are friends. You want to ask?
Who's the tube build?
How's the turbo build going? I was just answering that question. So that's Chris. Chris is saying you look like good labor. Do you want to be my helper in the shop? Yeah. One day I'm gonna have him on the channel when he gets a little older. Don't touch anything. Hey, go see what mommy's doing, okay, kiddo? Hey, get over here. Hey, come on, go see what mommy's doing. Okay, all right. By the way, he's my son that likes to bust chops. So just in case you're wondering why he's trying to hit the screen. So I've been on the screen for 75 minutes. Do you guys want me to start calling it quits, or do you want me to keep going? I think I'm ready to maybe call it quits, especially since he's bugging me now. He's been waiting for me to play video games, but I've been stuck. Well, not stuck. I wanted to talk to you guys too. But I think I'm going to call it quits. Hunter, stop. Come on, stop. I'm trying to say goodbye to everybody. You want to say goodbye with me? Say bye, everybody. You want to read people's names off and say hi?
Hi.
Say bye. Say bye, Chris. Bye, Travis.
Bye, Travis.
Say, this is a fun name. You want to say it with me? Fopiano. Say bye, Fopiano.
Bye, Fobu.
Say, I'm sorry, it's Fopiano. Say Fopiano.
Fobi instrument.
Oh, come on. I think he thinks your name is piano. Say bye, Mr. Boxer.
Bye, Mr. Butcher.
No, come on. Don't say stuff like that.
Boxer.
Don't be late. Don't be disrespectful.
Ow.
No, you're not allowed to. I'm not letting you. All right, I'll see you guys later. I appreciate you watching this. What games do we play? We usually Mario Kart. We play StarCraft. I just got back into StarCraft 2. It's funny. I used my old name, and it shows my score from like 10 years ago, which is kind of funny. So we play StarCraft every once in a while. We play Jurassic Park Builder, which is fun. And we play what other game would you say? Smash Brothers. We play a lot of Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Smash Brothers is fun.
We play Jurassic World Evolution.
Yeah, Jurassic World Evolution and Part 2. I think it's Evolution 2. It's a fun game. I'm going to say Part 2. I just want to finish saying goodbye to everybody.
Part 2.
Travis, I'll see you later. Mr. Boxer, I'll see you later. Oh, yeah, man. I think I got everybody. Oh, Ken, I appreciate you checking it out. Lewis, I appreciate it. J-Rod, thank you.
Is this a video?
Yeah, no, it's live. We're live. So I'll see you guys later. I appreciate you checking this out. Have a nice